I'm delighted, of course, to have you join me here in this class. In a previous module, I did looked at, or I taught on the topic, a man after God's own heart. In this module, I will be looking at the topic decision making, with emphasis to Solomon's wisdom. But first, it's important that we look at what decision is all about. Now, according to the English dictionary, a decision is defined, or it means to settle or determine or bring to a resolution, okay, or to actually give a judgment. All right, this is what actually a decision is all about. Now, from this, it follows that a good or bad decisions actually determines how well things are going to work out in the future. Now, therefore, in order to actually make a good decision, one requires wisdom, of course, and it is wisdom that actually enables a person to foresee the future and takes a good decision, of course. Now, the success of any leader is largely dependent by his or her ability to take good decisions, and this to a great extent explains the reason why Solomon requested for wisdom when God appeared to him in a dream in Gibeon. All right. Now, when Solomon went to Gibeon to actually sacrifice to the Lord there, God appeared to him in a dream by night, and God said to him, and he said, "Ask what I should give you." Solomon requested wisdom from God. Now, Solomon said, "Give to your son or your servant, therefore, an understanding mind to govern the people, that I may design between good and evil. For who is able to govern these that great people?" Now, you can find this in First Kings chapter 3. Okay, but here I have from verse 5 down to 15. But the one I just quoted was from 3, verse 9. Actually, God appeared to Solomon in a dream and told Solomon he would give him anything he asked for. Solomon asked for wisdom to serve the people. Okay, and verse 12, "I will give you a heart so wise, I will also give you riches and glory." All right, Solomon's request pleased the Lord very much, and God said that because Solomon had not asked for riches for himself or the life of his enemies, but had simply asked for understanding to discern justice, he would give Solomon's wisdom to the extent that no man would equal or surpass him. Now, God equally granted Solomon what he did not ask for, riches and, of course, honor, with a promise to further lengthen his days if he would work in the ways of the Lord by keeping his commandment and his statutes. Now, you could see here some of the Solomon's words recorded. 4.5 tons of gold per year. That was what Solomon was getting as the greatest ever. This was according to the promise of God. All right, 6,000 kilos of wheat per day, 12,000 kilos of beef per day, and of course 4,000 kilos of other meat per day. Now, these are some of the recorded wealth that Solomon had as a result of the promise that God made to him. Now, King Solomon's gift of wisdom was demonstrated by two harlots, okay, struggling for a baby. Okay, they came to him for judgment. Actually, these two women lived together in a house, and both gave birth each to a child or baby. One died, and both of them now laid claim to the living baby. Now, Solomon ruled, okay, that the baby should be cut into two parts, and each part should be given to the woman involved. Now, the actual mother of the baby wept and appealed to the king not to divide the baby, but that instead he should give it to her rival. While the other woman said, "It shall be neither mine nor yours divided." All right, from their actions, all right, or reactions, Solomon was able to know the actual mother of the baby. Now, this type of wisdom is displayed, or this displayed wisdom was rare in those days, and this made Solomon became very, very famous. All right, Solomon, okay, wisdom excel, okay, the wisdom of all the surrounding nations, and they all came to behold his wisdom. He spoke 3,000 proverbs and composed 1,005 songs. All right, In terms of wealth, Solomon was very rich. The Bible records that he reigned over all the kingdoms, from the rivers to the land of the Philippines, as far as the borders of Egypt. They brought tributes to Solomon and served him. Now, Solomon made an agreement with Iran of Tyre to supply him with cedar, and Solomon made arrangement with Hiram of Tyre to supply him with cedar and cypress timber, with which to build the temple of the Lord as well as his personal house. In return, he gave Iran 20,000 measures of coarse. Now, please take note of that. With and 20 measures of pressed oil as food for his household yearly. Now, when Solomon eventually completed the temple and the Ark of Covenant was brought into the temple, he actually prayed and dedicated the temple to the Lord. All right, he prayed, and the temple was dedicated, of course, to the Lord. You could see him there dedicating the temple after it was being built to the Lord. Well, move quickly now to the unwise decisions of Solomon and Rehoboam. 1 Kings chapter 9, 15 to 23, 11, 1 to 13, and of course 12, 1 to 2, respectively. And we'll begin first by looking at the unwise policies of King Solomon. Now, due to the relative peace that reigned during the time of Solomon, he lived in luxury. Okay, he engaged in so many expensive projects that actually required a lot of men and material resources. He raised a forced labor and citizenry. On the citizenry, we are heavily tasked to finance this project. Now, of course, now, he was loosed with women. He married 700 wives and had 300 concubines. Okay, to make it worse, he married these women from the nations, okay, which the Lord had warned the Israelites never to enter into marriage with, lest they turn away their heart after their gods. When Solomon married these women, he actually turned away his heart from following the ways of the Lord. These women brought their gods into Israel, and Solomon built high places for these gods, and his wives sacrificed to them. This act made God actually angry with him, and it led to the fall of Solomon and the break of Israel as a nation into two parts. Okay, God said to Solomon, since this has been your mind, and you have not kept my commandment and my statutes, which I have commanded you, I will surely tear the kingdom, okay, from you, and we give it to your servants. Yet for the sake of David, your father, I will not do it in your days, but I, of course, God now talking to King Solomon, will tear it out, okay, of your hand to your son. However, I will not tear away all the kingdom, but I will give one tribe to your son, for the sake of David my servant, and for the sake of Jerusalem, which I have chosen. Now you can find that actually in 1 Kings 11, okay, from verse 11 down to, of course, 12. Now this decision actually by God was actually fulfilled, okay, in the days of Rehoboam, who reigned after King Solomon. Now quickly we'll look now at the unwise decision of Rehoboam, the son of Solomon. Okay, now when Solomon died, Rehoboam was made the king. Okay, Rehoboam was made the king, and Jeroboam, having heard that Solomon was dead, returned from Egypt, the exile, where he had gone on a self-exile. Jeroboam joined the assembly of Israel, and they went to Rehoboam and made a request toast. And what was the request? Okay, went to him, your father made our yoke heavy. Now therefore lighten the hard service of your father and his heavy yoke upon us, and we will serve you. 1 Kings 12, 4 to 5. Rehoboam replied them that they should come back after 3 days. Now within these 3 days, he sought counsel from his father's advisors. All right, he tried to talk to the elders to advise him that he should listen to the people's request. However, he turned down this advice and took the advice of his age group, who advised him actually. All right, he turned the advice and took the advice of his age group, okay, who advised him to increase the people's burden. And when the assembly returned, Rehoboam actually spoke to them harshly, okay, to advise of the young men. When the people of Israel saw that the king did not listen to their request, they answered the king saying, "What portion have we in David?" Okay, we have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tent, O Israel. Look now to your own house, David. First King 12, verse 6, you find this there. Now, this statement by the Israelites saw the formation of the northern kingdom, actually, all right, and which is Israel. Jeroboam was made the king, while Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, reigned in the southern kingdom, and that is, of course, Judah. Now, that was how Israel became divided. Okay, 2 was given to Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, and the 10 was given to Jeroboam. Now, quickly, let's look at summary. Now, the summary number 1 is that Solomon's wrong decision were the expensive project he embarked on, which made him to tax the people heavily and raise forced labor. Now, the people became beasts of burden under his administration. Number 2 is that his numerous marriages with foreign women who birthed their idols attracted the wrath of God, and this made the Lord tear the kingdom during the reign of his son Rehoboam. Now, thirdly, Rehoboam on his part committed a great diplomatic and political blunder by refusing the advice of the elders in preference to advice of the young men. This made Israel to revolt against him. All right, now this is a few summary of this. Now, quickly in conclusion, we'll look at the moral lessons to this. Whenever things are going well for people in life, they must not allow it to get into their heads. They must remember God Almighty, who is the source of their provision. Solomon's luxury and comfort made him forget God, who blessed him with all things, and for this behavior his dynasty ended in disaster with the division of the kingdom. And number 2, it should not be ruled out that it was in a bid to continue with luxury and extravagant life that his son Rehoboam actually jettisoned the advice of the elders in preference to that of the younger men, because he felt the younger men advice would give him the opportunity to continue enjoying the luxury at the expense of others, like his fathers did. Okay, this did not know that this would lead to revolt against him and subsequent divisions of the kingdom. Now, this is a bad example for people to be successful in life and ensure peace success of their children. They must avoid taking unwise decisions, particularly when they see that the interest of other people is at stake. Now, thank you so much for your time. I believe you've learned one or two. I'll see you in the next module. Bye bye for now.